What's going on, guys? Cody from Motorcycle MD. In this video, we'll be doing a carb sync on a 1979 CB750 limited edition. It's pretty rough, but I just recently cleaned the carburetors on it, and it sounds great. There's a little weird situation going on at idle. I did bench sync the carbs after I split them, rebuilt them, all the works, and I want to see if my carb sync is anywhere close to where it needs to be. So let's get this thing warmed up. Once it's there, we'll take the side covers off, take the gas tank off, seat off obviously, and we'll go in after where I can put my vacuum inlets, attach my system, and see where we're at. See if we can't make it a little bit better. Let's do it. Cold start. Gas on, key on, choke on. So I don't know if you guys can hear or pick up on that weird kind of cadence that it has going at idle. It's kind of like a dun 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 dun, almost like it's bouncing back and forth. And I want to see if the carb sync, a proper carb sync with the good tools will kind of fix that. I did bench sync the carbs. These carburetors are pretty intense to clean. If you guys are interested in doing anything like that for the 750 model, 80s, and like the CB900, I have a full masterclass on tearing those things apart completely. And doing exactly what needs to happen so it can sound pretty much how, and you hear it now. I did bench sync them and got them as close as I could by eye, but the carb sync will really fine tune that. Carb syncing is not an end all be all fix to your carburetor issues. If your bike runs like crap, more than likely not a carb sync type of situation. Okay, all we're trying to do is make sure that all the butterflies for all four carbs are all lined up together and no cylinder is fighting each other or one's open, one's partially open. That can cause that weird kind of cadence thing, usually at idle or just off idle. Mid-range, wide open throttle, carb sync's not touching nothing, okay? Unless there's like a butterfly that's like broken and it's just staying closed. Bottom line. Okay, so this is definitely an idle type situation when it comes to carb syncing to make it sound hopefully perfect and smooth as glass. So let's find out where this is at. Got it nice and warmed up and it's idling just how it should be. Okay, obviously you can't carb sync a bike that doesn't run. So this one runs because we made it run. So let's see where we're at. Alright, so where we're trying to get to is these ports right here. A little dirty. Phillips head screw there, Phillips head screw there, and there's two more on the other side for each of these intakes. Number 2 is going to be our master carb. Okay, we're going to base all of our adjustments off of number 2. Our adjustments for each carb are going to be right in between. So if we look down on this right side, it's easier to see. There's a little lock nut. See that lock nut and flathead screw? We're going to crack that loose and then we'll be able to turn that flathead screw, which would adjust. The number 4, there's one in between, kind of harder to see, I'm not going to even try, between 2 and 3 that we'll get to for number 3. Number 2 does not have an adjustment, but number 1 will as well, right there in the center. Okay, so we're going to crack these loose, take them completely out, the little Phillips head screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 come out. They can be super stubborn. I'm going to show you guys how I get them out. Phillips head screwdriver, right on top. Give it a couple whacks. And that should just crack right loose. They should have like a little aluminum washer with them. These do, sometimes they don't. Kind of help seal that little port. we'll go after all 4 of them. This motor is nasty. Ooh, she nasty. I will be using my main carb sync kit. I think this is from K&L. Okay, it's a little bit expensive for what it is, but this is the most accurate one that I've been able to use and find, and it is a workhorse. I've used it for many, many years now. 4 dials, 4 lines to go to each 4, and then you have an adjustable valve here that kind of helps tighten the needle up so it's not swinging so far, and we'll get into that once we're on there. Also comes with a nice assortment of ports to use, some shorter, some much longer. I love having that. I usually run 2 long ones in the center and then 2 short ones on the sides. They have little O-rings on them to help seal them. We will very carefully screw these into their port. Actually, a long one's not even going to work there. Yeah, I'm going to run all 4 of them short because it's too long to thread in. No problem. If I really wanted to, I could probably prop the tank back up and put like a wood block underneath it and still run my lines to it so I can have a gas feed. I have a bottle that I just bottle feed these things with because I just want to be able to see everything. You might be kicking yourself trying to put the tank on, see where you're at, take the tank off, or kind of shimmy it around so you can get to the adjustments. It's just easier to get a bottle feed type thing. I'll show you what I use. But we're going to go ahead and attach our lines in a row, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cylinder 4, cylinder 3, cylinder 2, cylinder 1. We are ready to check the sync on this motorcycle. Alright, so let's go ahead and see where we are at. Fire it up, just let it idle. We're going to check these needles, and if we need to make an adjustment, I'll show you what tool to use to do that. Alright, so we are off. Here's the one that we need to match these 2 and that one too, alright? So this is our master carb. You can see this one's out. We need to match it to that one, and these need to go up to that one as well. So, of course there's always a nifty tool to use. Honda sold these, you can buy them online as well. All it is a little locking pipe with a flathead screwdriver kind of running right down the center of it. It's got a little 8mm hex on the end so I can unlock them, and then a little flathead bit that sits right out in the center of it. These are awesome tools to use. It's the easiest thing to do. You can get them from Motion Pro or any place like that. They do also make a much longer version of what I showed you. Again, a little spindle with a flathead screwdriver on the end. Makes it way easier to get to these things because it sticks so far up in the air. Second option. So what I'm going to do is, because all of them were out, I'm just going to go ahead and unlock all of them. So I'm going to stick my tool down on top. I'm going to find the center where it's locked in, here and here, and unlock it and just tighten it back just a little bit. That way when I go to make a change, I'm not like, bam, and I jack everything up. Cool. Alright, so I'm going to make all of my adjustments, okay? You can run it clockwise, run it counterclockwise. All we're trying to do is see the needle rise and lower to meet number 2. These ones and that one need to meet number 2. So I'm just going to keep making adjustments as I go. Once I make a bunch of adjustments, I'm going to shut the bike off. I'm going to snap the throttle without the bike running just to kind of reset everything. Turn it back on, you'll see they'll probably shift a little bit. And we're just going to keep going back and forth until all of these are lined up. And there's to see if we have any change in the way that it idles, if it's any smoother, or if we just make it worse, which is unlikely. So let's do it. Here's the bottle I'll be using. It's an old trans oil with a nozzle on the top. I just feed that right into the gas line. And I try to keep it as full as I possibly can. Every now and then just check in on it. And give her some go-go juice. Alright, so as you hear, it's wanting to shut itself off, which is fine. That's okay. We're not doing anything wrong. We're lining up the needles. That one's pretty much close. That one's close. I'm going to snap the throttle a couple times. There's an accelerator pump. Don't worry about it. I'm going to give it a little more gas. And then we're going to turn the idle up with the main idle adjustment on the bottom of the carb, that little black knob. We're just going to bring the idle right back up again. And when I make more adjustments, guess what? It's probably going to change and go down. Sometimes it increases and goes up. That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to turn this knob in for the main idle. Fire back up. Keep making adjustments. That sounds pretty good. All right, so we synced it and it was out. That just goes to show you that a bench sync, not always gonna be very, very accurate. Some things change. There's all different types of things that can manipulate how the carb sync is functioning. If you have low compression on a cylinder, it's not gonna be drawing in as much as it would as a cylinder that has perfect compression. All different types of factors come into play when you go to attach the carbs to the bike, and now hopefully you're gonna make it run, right? On a perfect unit, a bench sync, you can probably get it spot on. But I always go in after and do a double check on the carb sync, and I needed to. I think it sounds way better, way smoother than it was before. It still has a slight cadence to it, but that's okay. I just wanted to see how far off that carb sync was and if I can make the cadence a little bit better or a little bit smoother on idle. Gave it some throttle, it sounded awesome. I'm happy with it. This carb sync is done. This bike is done. One other note is you want to make sure that you're doing this after the bike is warmed up again and that all your mixture screw settings are done. I keep getting tons of questions about how mixture screw settings are varying between carb to carb and this one's 2 out and that one's 4 out and all of that stuff. It shouldn't be. Your idle mixture screws should be pretty much spot on across the board. If I make an adjustment on cylinder 1 or cylinder 2 carb for that idle mixture, fuel mixture, I'm going to do the exact same thing on 3 and 4. There's no difference. If the carbs are perfect, idle jets are clean, all the circuits are good, and you did a good job, a perfect job on your carburetors, all your adjustments should be the same, and you should keep them the same, okay? So I am very happy with how this turned out. The carbs are done, new plugs, new air filter. I had to get new intake boots. These things are kind of soft, but got them from old Bike Barn, or whatever it's called. It's the only place I could find them. Them janks were expensive. But it is time to take this bike on a test ride and make sure that it's doing everything else it needs to do. Again, if you guys are interested, if anybody out there is interested in doing these carburetors, 80s model 750, late model 750 stuff, Fs, Ks, CB900s, I have a master class. What that means is it shows you how to clean the carburetors fully, how to tear them apart fully, how to know what tools to use, what parts to get. That masterclass shows you how to do all of it as if I was doing your carburetors. Video footage walking you through step by step, and that is for sale, totally available to anybody to keep forever. Okay? On the website, themotorcyclemd.com. Check it out if you're interested. There'll also be a link in the description for you to go right to it if this is something that you may need. Make sure you join a mailing list, themotorcyclemd.com. Get on that mailing list to get notifications about when new videos come out or whatever else is going on. Until next time, Cody from Motorcycle MD, bringing you guys some quality tips and tricks for your next build or your daily rider. See you next time. Later.